today I'm here just to talk to you a bit about digital disruption. So we're in a time where technology is developing so quickly and digital marketing is changing many of the process of traditional marketing techniques that we've used for many years. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about that, but most importantly, so I'm going to show you some tools that you can use to help perhaps monitor your competitors and also your consumers. Some really neat tools that you can use in your everyday working lives. But a bit about me. I've worked in digital marketing for over 15 years. I'm currently a digital marketing consultant, so I work with different brands and helping them with their digital marketing. Do a lot of digital advertising and media activities. I'm also a digital marketing trainer. I've trained some large corporations across both within my own company and also with the Oxford College of Marketing. And I'm also a tutor with the Oxford College of Marketing. So I teach digital marketing disciplines, I teach marketing, and I also support students as well. And that's why I'm here this weekend. I'm teaching for honour for our digital strategy course. I've worked with brands such as Vodafone, I've worked with brands such as Dell, I've worked with UK brands such as Sky, which is a large TV organisation, and also Sainsbury's, which is the UK supermarket. You can connect with me. I'll put some details up there, my web address and also my Twitter account. So do feel free to connect with me. But let's talk about disruption. Disruptions are a regular part of the business world, but digital technology is currently presenting a massive upheaval for organisations. Digital innovation is really transforming organisations and their marketing environments. If we think about what a disruption is, it's actually the simple term used to describe the changes, both positive and negative, that are occurring in our world due to advancements in technology. The problem with digital disruption for many organisations is not just changing the way that we're doing marketing, but it's actually changing business models as well. And there's a chap called James McQuithery, and he's an author on digital disruption. I recommend if you want to have a look at his writing, it's really interesting. He's part of Forrester Research. And he's suggested there are 3 sources of digital power that's leading to this digital disruption. Firstly, the prevalence of free digital tools and services. So actually previously, these tools and technologies that were available to build products and services were only available to those who had massive financial backing. But now these tools and services are available to anyone. So anyone can go and perhaps produce a game, produce an app for Xbox 360, for example. There's nothing standing in the way, which is levelling the playing field. There's also a massive rise in digital platforms. So by a digital platform, I'm talking about platforms such as Facebook, Amazon, Google, Apple. These all provide digital platforms to reach customers in new ways. So again, many organisations and competitors have access to these particular platforms. And these platforms are interesting because it's giving organisations opportunities to reach their customers in new ways. So a good example here is of Nike. Nike no longer just produce trainers. Nike now produce a mobile app so you can track yourself while you're running. They also produce wristbands. So they produce wearable technology as well that matches those trainers, and then you can track yourself, as say, through an app. So again, thinking about the different rise of different digital platforms that organisations can use to not only communicate with their customers, but build products and services and add value to what they're already producing. Finally, we're looking at this rapid increase of digital consumers and those that are ready to accept new services. And this is a really, really important part of digital disruption, because consumers are much more digital savvy now, and they are much more open to trying new services, but they're also much more demanding. Much more demanding. They have higher expectations of organisations. Context is very much key for organisations in terms of communicating with customers in the right context. Customers are expecting personalised communications at the right time and when they want to receive them as well. Thinking a bit more about this disruption, we could say that disruption has already happened. Look at some of these stats here. The world's largest taxi company doesn't actually own any taxis. The largest accommodation provider doesn't actually have any real estate, doesn't own any hotels. The largest phone company doesn't own any telecoms infrastructure, which is Skype. The most popular media owner creates no content, Facebook. The world's largest movie house owns no cinemas, Netflix. And the world's largest software vendors don't write the apps, so Google and Apple. Actually, it's interesting, I was reading this week that in terms of the phone companies, that's even being disrupted further by the likes of WhatsApp and Facebook. People are now making calls via the Facebook Messenger app, which is in turn actually disrupting the disruptor, which is Skype. You know, think about something like the Super Bowl in America. Traditional advertising, TV advertising sells out constantly there. Also, think about the Financial Times actually sold recently for $1.3 billion. So again, that's showing that print is still valuable. And there are industries which aren't really being disrupted at all by digital at the moment. I would say insurance, healthcare, these are areas that aren't really being disrupted. Some are really being disrupted. And I think over the course of the next 12 months, we're going to see lots of change as well. I know myself in the UK, one of the key disruptions I'm seeing at the moment is with estate agents, so the selling of properties. And we're moving from the use of estate agents to buy and sell properties to using websites where consumers sell them themselves, so therefore avoiding all the fees and the intermediary of an estate agent. So that's an interesting development in the UK, and I'm sure you can also think about things that are happening here. So what's the impact of this accelerated digital environment? What impact is it having on organisations? Well, the pace of innovation is changing rapidly. So technology and technological disruptions are occurring much more frequently. So we have to think about how this might impact both on organisations and its customers. So we'll actually thinking about customers, will they be more sceptical about new products that perhaps are being brought out? And you know, does research and development teams now have to work even harder to wow our customers? I know that's certainly a trend that we're seeing in mobile devices and also tablet devices, where tablets, the sale of tablets has started to plateau. And that's mainly because consumers don't see the need to update them like they do with their mobile devices. And even now, actually, with mobile devices, again, we're seeing that people are saying, well, do I really need the Apple iPhone 7 when I've got a 6 and it does pretty much the same thing? So when we have this pace of innovation, customers have to be kind of almost convinced that it is innovative. Increased competition. We already talked about those three key areas of digital disruption, and competition is certainly going to be accelerated because of that. We've got reduced barriers to entry within the marketplace, and also that magnitude of new ideas coming into markets as well. So organisations have to be much more aware of the changing competition, the free tools that are out there that other organisations and businesses all have access to that can impact, therefore, on their own industry. Personalisation of interactions, we sort of touched upon this before, in the fact that consumers are now expecting personalised interactions. We've got big data, so large amounts of data that organisations can use and that they can utilise because they've gathered them about their visitors and their customers. And we're combining that with digital tools. It really enables a business to send relevant, timely, and also personalised and targeted messages. So customers are now not only welcoming personalised messaging, but they're expecting personalised messages as well. And we're thinking about also organisations are expected to utilise that data to deliver those personal messages and personalise content, personalise websites. We always think, when we're thinking about personalisation, the daddy of them all, which is Amazon. Amazon is a really key, still to this day, a really good example of how an organisation gathers data and then presents it back to us in the form of personalised websites. So every time you log into Amazon, it will tell you people who like what you've already bought, like this, or will make some recommendations for you. Another impact we think about is that speed of interaction as well. So it's changing the way that businesses communicate with customers and the speed. So we don't just expect personalised communications as customers now, we expect speedy responses. Those of you here probably use social media to vent your frustrations at certain brands. I know that I do it quite regularly. And we expect a speedy response back from that brand. We expect them to reply to us, to our customer service issues. So how can a business make sure that they are set up for this? And finally, integration. The point here is, without integration, an organisation can't realise the potential of digital technologies. So integration needs to create cohesion across our marketing channels and also our platforms. It's really important. So thinking about that impact accelerated environment, let's think about some of the key trends that are affecting our customers and consumers and that are driving changes in our digital environment as well. So there's a massive device shift, so not just from mobiles but also from tablets. We have massive global penetration of these. And both of them account for significant browsing time. So we're seeing a major shift in how people are utilising mobile. So for example, how many of you here sit and watch TV, utilise your mobile or your tablet device? So this is what we call media stacking and media meshing, when we're using two devices at once to do two different things, or when we're meshing, media meshing, we're utilising the tablets and the TV, for example, to do something together. So, for example, you might be tweeting about your favourite TV show. So this again presents opportunities for organisations to get feedback on perhaps even adverts, TV shows, etc. We're seeing also a communication shift from voice to data and video. So less time now is spent on mobile phones actually using them to make calls. People, again, coming from a telecoms background, people are much, much less interested in the amount of minutes that a telecoms company gives them on their mobile contract. They're much more interested in the amount of data that they can get. Because what they want to do is they want to look at social media. They want to stream. They want to watch videos. They want to share videos. Also, we're thinking about the shift in content. So consumers are moving away from bundled and aggregated content, so that perhaps found in traditional media, so looking at news stories on a news report or a news channel, looking at news stories perhaps in a newspaper or a magazine, and they're now wanting to have much more fragmented and search content through searching for their own content that they are interested in. So utilising search engines, downloading perhaps specific apps that enable them then to find the content and the information that they're most interested in. So using aggregation services in a slightly different way. We're also seeing a social shift from growth to monetisation. So this is thinking about how social media is used. And social media usage and growth is beginning now to slow and to plateau quite a lot. And so the focus for many of these social media platforms has moved from let's get lots of people trying to use it to how can we monetize the people that are using it. Just look at Twitter. Twitter is actually struggling quite a lot. Their share price is dramatically falling if you look at some of the reports. And this is because they're not able to attract new audiences, and they've not been very good at monetizing either, and they're not really innovating their product. Video shift from program to user-driven. So this is interesting. Thinking about how we used to watch TV and how we're now beginning to watch TV. It's all about time shift. It's all about watching TV and watching what I want to watch when I want to watch it. So the rise of the Netflix in this world, the rise of the Amazon Prime as well, and how this is really impacting on traditional advertising models. So do we now need to move away from TV advertising? Actually, interestingly, I read a report this week where they were saying that display advertising, online display advertising, has outsold, billed more than TV advertising for the first time. So it's overtaken in terms of the revenue spent, online advertising in terms of display advertising has overtaken TV advertising, which is really interesting. And finally, and really interestingly, this idea of the retail shift from channel to experience. So with the increasing use of smartphones, what we're seeing is consumers going into stores and rather than perhaps shopping in store, using their phones to see what deal they can get elsewhere, or effectively using a retail outlet as a showroom. This is the idea of what we call showrooming. So someone going into a store, finding a pair of shoes perhaps that they like, looking them online and deciding, well, actually, I don't really want to carry them home, or I can get them cheaper elsewhere. So it's up to a retailer then to work out, how can I embrace this idea of the showroom? How can I create an experience for people so they remember the brand, either buy into the brand while they're here, or buy into the brand later. So recently I was shopping, I like to shop. I was shopping in a retail outlet in the UK, and as I left the store, because I didn't buy anything, they handed me a card and said, oh, if you go online today, you'll get 20% off. So thinking about how they can use that store traffic to drive traffic to their website and still gain that sale. So again, there's a key trend that's really driving change in the digital marketing environment. Okay, so that's kind of what I wanted to give you a backdrop in terms of what's happening in the environment now. But what's really important for organisations is how they can actually monitor their digital marketing environment. And I'm going to show you a few tools today and how you can use those tools as part of your own marketing activity. Google Trends is really quite cool because it gives you a lot of information, not exact information, but you get a good idea of what is happening in terms of search. Front page gives us an idea of some of the things that people are talking about right now. Apparently people are still very interested in Star Wars. And these are some of the trending stories at the moment. Golden Globes, Arsenal, that's my football team, Andy Murray, Hibernian FC. So some of the key trending stories. That's quite useful for organisations in thinking about content, what they might want to talk about on social media. But Google Trends, the cool bit here, is when we go into the menu and look at exploring. We can essentially look at different search terms and compare them across different locations, time, categories. We can look at whether people have done video search, whether they've done shopping, and also web or mobile. Let's put some terms in here. I'm going to go for something really basic here. Right, let's do the last 12 months, and let's leave it as web search. So you get this lovely idea of the interest in that search term, Apple, over the last 12 months. Something to be aware of, though. These aren't exact numbers of people searching. This is index numbers. So what Google has done is normalised and indexed these numbers. So you get 0 to 100 values. So you can't really use these as exact numbers, but you can see the idea of the trends in terms of how people are searching for that particular term. So you can see how an organisation might want to use this. Might want to need to use this information. They could look at how people are searching perhaps for their competitor terms, how they're searching, what interest is there in perhaps their key product terms. Is there a decline over time? So what's interesting with Google Trends is a really good tool, really useful tool for helping organisations understand what consumers are searching for, but also thinking about how it can inform perhaps content strategy as well. So what people are interested in, therefore what might resonate with them in terms of content. Another Google tool is the Consumer Barometer. Now, I like this tool. It's a free tool basically for planners who can want to understand and compare how people are using the internet around the world. Potentially people who access the internet, potentially people who access the internet daily. There's always going to be a presentation that you've got to do at some point in your working career where you need to know this information. Trust me. And it's really handy to have. I've got some more here. Potentially people who use a smartphone, potentially people who use a computer. Again, some really cool stats that you can utilise. It gets even better though. We can look in audience stories. And this is looking at the online and multi-screen world. So here we can get an idea of how people are utilising their mobile phones and smartphones and tablets within their everyday lives. So again, one way in which people use their connected devices is going online watching TV. So the question here is probably, how do you use your device? 45% say they use their device in parallel with TV, while the others say they don't, so i.e. I'm not utilising that device. Thinking about how the related use of internet usage to a TV programme. So again, if you've got to do that presentation, you need some information, it's right here for you. My other favourite tool is this one called SimilarWeb. Let's put a website in, and then it starts giving us a whole array of stats. We can look at it gives us an estimated monthly visits as well. We can even select the date range. We can download this, by the way, all at the top into a PDF. So it's all nicely presented for us. We can learn the amount of time people spend on the site, the number of pages they've viewed, the bounce rate. We can see traffic sources, where they get direct, referring traffic, search traffic, social, mail, display. So you could go for your competitors, utilise this site, put in their URL, and see what your competitors are doing. So really from this we can, as I said, we can obtain traffic information, we can look at, it even suggests competitors you might want to watch. I mean, you can add your competitors in and do a comparison. It's a really neat tool for organisations to utilise to monitor their competition. Social mention. Now, this is all about understanding what's happening in social in real time. So what we can do here is we can just search for a key term. So as an advertiser, I might want to see what people are saying about my brand. So let's just type in Amazon, let's keep it. We could look at everything, blogs specifically, microblogs, bookmarks, videos, questions. But let's just look at everything. And what's this showing us is, what it's telling us here is what people are actually saying. Again, we can sort by date, we can change our results to perhaps look at, let's say we don't look at all the time. Let's say we want to know actually, we put an advert out, we want to know what's happened in the last hour. Just think about people that have mentioned us across different social platforms. It gives us some scores, so we have a strength metric. And this is the percentage likelihood that people are talking about that particular keyword, so this particular brand name right now. So the higher the number is, the more people that are likely to be talking about this brand. Our sentiment score is the ratio of positive to negative, where positive is on the left, negative on the right. So i.e. we want a higher number on the right than we do on the left. So this is, quite positive. Passion and reach as well are displayed here. So passion measures how often authors are mentioning that particular keyword, but where that number is high, obviously it means it's more passionate. Reach is calculated by the number of unique mentions about the brand as well. So again, the higher the number, the more people talking about your brand. So this is great for organisations not only to monitor their own brand, but also thinking again what their competitors are doing. Getting an insight into their consumers and what their consumers are interested in as well. Again, helping create content. Topsy was a Twitter, essentially a platform very similar to Social Mention, but focused purely on Twitter. Amazon bought Topsy for $200 million 2 years ago, and at Christmas they shut it down. Brilliant, it was a brilliant tool. So I've been searching for other tools that I can utilise to evaluate Twitter. But it lets you search across not just Twitter, but also hashtags as well on Instagram, which is interesting. So here we've got, this is the date range. Sorry, I think my screen's a bit truncated here. Let's just do that. That's for the last couple of days. We've got posts, number of users, reach, and impressions. So reach is the estimated number of accounts that have been reached, and impressions is the estimated number of views. So we've got some top posts, shows you a timeline, sites, the share of the posts in terms of their original posts, replies, RTs. We can look at, and what's quite neat about this one is it helps you identify influencers, look at recent users, location, demographics as well. So you can utilise this again, not only to see what your consumers are talking about, but also who are they? Who is very influential perhaps in talking about your brand, your competitor's brand, and how can you reach out to those influencers and try and work with them as well. So in summary, we We, as organisations in today's business world, we are being severely disrupted by technologies. However, there are tools out there to help us better understand our competitors and the competition we're working against, and also better understand our consumers as well. I hope you've enjoyed my short discussion this evening, and if you have any questions, I'll be glad to take them.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.